Graph it? No. If you are using transformations, what do I expect you to draw first? Parent function. Anytime you are choosing to do the transformations, you must have a parent function. Not needed here because I can't do the transformations anyway, so that was when we went through all of our other steps. So we had to find the vertex. How do we find a vertex? So if we do that, that would be the opposite of 8 over 2 times negative 2. So negative 8 over negative 4 is 2. A vertex is a point. It's an ordered pair. All we have so far is the x value of that ordered pair. How do we find y? What do we get? So our vertex is at 2, 5. So we mark that point on the graph. And then we also know the axis of symmetry. The axis is a line, so you cannot just tell me a number. You must give me the equation of that line. It's a vertical line, so it's x equals just the x value of the vertex, so x equals 2. And we draw that in as a dashed line. We know the graph is the same on both sides of that line. Then we had to find our y-intercept. What's a y-intercept? And what's that give us? So we get the y-axis at negative 3. All right, we know this is symmetric, so this point is 2 away from the axis of symmetry. So if we go to the other direction, then we get a third point on our graph. How could we have known this opened down from the beginning? Right, negative x squared always opens down. What's the domain of this one? What is our range? If I ask, does this one have a maximum or a minimum? On the Math Excel, some questions would ask you like increasing, decreasing, and a few of you were confused over that. Remember, we did that on the last test. Where is this function increasing? Negative infinity to, give me the x value. 2. And then from 2 to infinity, it is decreasing. So parabolas are always sometimes increasing and sometimes decreasing. All right, any questions on that? Let's go to this one. So we don't have to do the full graph, but we have to answer the questions. So I wanted to know the vertex, axis of symmetry, does it open up or down, max or min? To find the vertex on this one, it's not really set up to do the opposite of b over 2a. If I wanted to do that, I would have to multiply it all out first, which would be time consuming. But it is set up for transformations. Think about that. Parabola normally has a vertex at 0, 0. What would the minus 5 do? And the plus 3? The 2 is just stretching or shrinking. Does that move your vertex? No. So it just moves right and up. So where's my vertex end up? So what is the axis of symmetry? How do we write it? Okay. Does this open up or down? How do we know that? Right, we have a positive 2 there. Does that have a maximum or a minimum there? We know it's opening up, so the minimum is just your vertex value. Be like that. Okay, I want you guys to try C. saw a couple different answers walking around, so let's talk about it. So we do this one, we can't do transformation, so we have to do the opposite of b over 2a. b is -4, so the opposite of -4 is +4 over 2 times -8. So 4 over -16 is -1/4. That's the x value. You have to plug that in to get y. So, what do you get? -19 half. So what's our axis of symmetry? But you have to write it as x equals -1/4. It's a line. Does this open up or down? So is that a max or a min? And what is our max? Okay. Is that one okay? All right. So that's kind of wrapping up and reminding us of what we did yesterday. Today, we need to add in another piece. This isn't a quadratic function, but it is related. I want to talk about circles just a little bit. So circles show up a lot on the ACT, and I know that usually you don't get to it in geometry or algebra 2, so I wanted to kind of show it to you guys so you have a little bit of a background. A circle is all points that are a set distance r from a fixed point hk. Your center is that hk. The radius is your r. Okay, so what that's meaning is you have a center, that's like your starting point. And then if I took whatever my r might be, if I took every point fixed distance from there, it creates a circle. So it's centered at hk, that order pair. R is how far it is from the center to the edge of the circle. The equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So parabolas have x squared in them. Circles have both x squared and y squared in them. So we're going to start just by writing the equation of a circle and given information so we kind of get a feel for what it looks like, as well as drawing the graphs of some circles. So we just wrote down the formula. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. In the center, the x value is your h, the y value is the k, radius is r. So what would my equation look like?
X minus 4.
And minus a negative, we can make it plus 3 squared, equals r squared. 5 squared, could I go ahead and just write 25? Is that okay? That's my equation. If I asked you for the graph, we start at our center. So we go to 4, -3, and put a dot. My radius is 5. So that means I go 5 every direction. So if I go 5 up, put a dot, 5 to the right, 5 down, and then 5 to the left. Now, if we connect these outside points, that should create our circle. Obviously, mine's not perfect because my scale isn't perfect, so mine looks a little more like a, I don't know what you would call that, but. If I ask you to draw a circle, what I'm going to be checking is, do you have your radius in the right spot? Or sorry, do you have your center in the right spot, and did you count your radius up, down, left, and right to get 4 additional points that you connect to create your circle? All right, B. This is my H, K, and R. So if I plug that into my formula, what do we get? X minus 0 is the same thing as x. So this one does turn into x squared plus y squared equals 9. So if I'm going to graph this one, where does my first point go? Yep, start at 0, 0. My radius is 3. So we go 3, up, down, left, and right. Any questions on that? Last thing I want to do today is talk about how to find the center and the radius when our equation has been all multiplied out. What I've been giving you when we look at the equation of the circle, when it's written like this, that's center radius form. If you actually multiplied out the x minus 4 squared and FOILed it, y plus 3 squared and FOILed that, you're getting something like this. This is called the standard form. In order to find the center and the radius, we have to work backwards here. We have to put it back into the other form. So this has a little more work to it. What we're going to do is reorder these terms. I'm going to put my x's together. I'm going to leave a little space. I'm going to put my y's together. I'm going to leave a little space. And I don't want this minus 15, so I'm just going to add that over to the other side. All right, it's not in center radius form yet, but it's an improvement. We at least can kind of see our 2 parentheses forming. We have it equals a number. We have to get this to be x plus or minus something squared. So what we are going to do is complete the square. You guys remember that? We talked about it before. So we are going to build a perfect square. To do that, remember we take our middle coefficient, divide it by 2 for the 2 parentheses we're creating, and we square it. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So I'm going to add a 1 right here. Now it's an equation. If I add 1 on one side, what do I do on the other side? You also add it on the other. Okay, the reason we did this, what numbers multiply to 1 and add to 2? 1 and 1. So that factors into x plus 1 squared. So we were able to factor. We have to do the same thing with our y's. So the middle term was 6. We divided by 2 to create 2 parentheses, and then we square it. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared So we put a plus 9. But if I put plus 9 on one side, I put it on the other. All right, what numbers multiply to 9 and add to 6? That's x plus, or sorry, y plus 3 squared. Equals over here, 25. This is the equation. So now you should be able to tell me the center and the radius. Okay, remember the formula is x minus, so it's always the opposite, or you could think, what makes x plus 1 equal 0? What would make x plus 1 equal 0? Negative 1. What makes y plus 3 equal 0? So our center is at negative 1, negative 3. This is r squared from the formula, so what's my radius? A little more involved on that one. Do you guys have questions? Why don't you take a couple minutes and see how far you can get on B? We start out putting our x's together. A little space, put your y's together. Leave a little space. What do I do with this negative 44? So now we complete the square. You take your middle term, so 4. Divide that by 2 and square it. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, 2 squared is 4. If we add 4 to one side, add it to the other. Same thing with the y's. Middle term, so negative 8, divided by 2, squared. So negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4, squared is 16. You add it to one side, you add it to the other. This is where we went wrong. What numbers multiply to 4 and add to 4? 2 and 2. So that factors into x plus 2 squared. Because if you wrote that out and FOILed it, you would get the x squared plus 4x plus 4. All right, with this one, what numbers, thank you, multiply to 16 and add to negative 8? Negative 4 times negative 4 is 16. Negative 4 plus negative 4 is negative 8. Over here, that gives us 64. So now we have it written in center radius form. So the center, it's the opposite, or just set it equal to 0. What makes x plus 2 equal 0? What makes y minus 4 equal 0? Radius, it doesn't have to work out perfectly, but this one does. The square root of 64 is 8. If you had gotten something like a radius, or like this was a 10 right here, your radius would just be the square root of 10. So it can have a radical in it, that's fine. All right, questions on these? Okay. I want to